going to go 3 wide.
And Andretti Carr moving up here at Mid-Ohio.
Turn number 4, side by side through the corner.
Regis VK and Robert McGinnis, a dead heat at the exit of turn number 2. Side by side, and Oliver Askew scores. All right, just about set to go. Please welcome with me, race fans, Lauren and Leif Liedemann, guests of Andersen Interior Contracting, for today's command for the drivers.
Drivers, start your engines!
Engines firing to life for the 21 USF 2000 cars out on the grid, set for their first of 2 races this race weekend. It is our second to last event this Saturday. We've had terrific action in the USF 2000 in the practice sessions that took place yesterday, the qualifying sessions that took place. We actually had a qualifying session for USF 2000 for race number 2 that took place earlier today. Those starting positions will determine tomorrow's order. However, in this one, these were set yesterday. Cameron Shields, Kiko Porto alongside on the front row. Rob Howden, who has put more miles on his sneakers today than just about everybody, the voice of the road to Indy, joins me now. And wow, that was a bit of a scramble out there, and a bit a hurry up here at the end to try to get this program moving along. But we're expecting a lot of good action today in this event with the USF 2000 cars.
Well, Todd, I do appreciate your help. I was running back to BSI to drop off the IndyCar radio pack, and then running back here to get to the up to the booth here. Thank you so much for helping out with the guys doing the gentlemen start your engines, drivers start your engines. We fired everybody up, and we're ready to go racing finally. This is going to be great. Good qualifying run for both Cameron Shields and Kiko Porto from D-Force Racing. They'll start on the front row. It'll be the first pole start for Cameron Shields here in 2020, and here's a guy who really, really wants a win. I know that the family listening in back home in Toowoomba, Australia, Cameron for D-Force Racing would like to be able to get this victory locked and loaded. He'll start on the pole, as we know, alongside Kiko Porto. Again, drivers working their way around the racetrack here. 20-lap race. 20 laps or 45 minutes. We'll go to 25 laps for Indy Pro 2000. Again, drivers working their way out of turn number 9 and 10. Getting ready to go racing here for the first time. The pace car will duck on in. Shields and Porto on the front row. Barrichello in gold. Row 2, Brooks and Rasmussen. Row 3, Sundramoorthy and Miller. Row 4, Green and Brkacic. Row 5. They'll get themselves into the positions. We'll look down to Aaron Likens at the flag stand. Will we fire this race up? They're in position, looking good. Spooling up. Green, green, green. And we are racing, and Cameron Shields will take the lead. Here we go into turn 1 for the first time. Big wreck. One driver deep into the corner. Way too deep in for one of the drivers in the Pabst Racing crew. Didn't give us the time to talk about how slippery it is on the inside of row number 1. It's dirty down there. The tires aren't up to temperature. Todd, you know there's so much paint down there as well. That was just one driver getting too deep into the braking zone and then just getting caught up with everybody else jumping on the binders.
We have seen this in other series and other series races and over the years here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Corner number 1, it is tantalizing and invites you to make those bold moves, and you wind up sometimes going a little bit deeper than you should, and to give you time to brake and slow down and to make that right-hander, and then the quick combination of 2 and 3 that follows. We had the cars fan out all the way across the runway, as we often see here as well, and then it's tough that you have to narrow down so quickly, and that's when you get contact in corner 1.
And the toughest part about it is the driver who didn't make the mistake. You know, the driver who was getting on the brakes early enough, not making that mistake. Not quite sure. It might have been one of the Pabst cars, I believe, that went up and over there from deeper in the field. Just to look at kind of the lineup here for this particular field, I'm thinking potentially Matt Brown Garrido could have been the driver involved. We'll see as they come back around here. But again, full course yellow as we had that incident. That driver got up in the air in a big way. Okay, let's have a look at the replay on the big boards, those of you watching on the Road to Indy TV app as well. Here's the replay. You can see that driver. They actually got into the back of Christian Brooks. That's the, Brooks got driven over, so I think Christian Brooks might look at the contact as well there. So Brooks is going to go to the left side of the racetrack. That is, I believe, Juven Sunder-Amurthy getting involved. Yeah, Christian Rasmussen involved as well, the champion of the season. A number of drivers in the J. Howard Driver Development Camp getting collected as well. Wyatt Prokachik involved, Christian Rasmussen. It was Juven Sunder-Amurthy simply driving over the back of Christian Brooks. Brooks will start on the pole position tomorrow after setting a new track record in qualifying, so he'll look for some amends, but that had nothing to do with Brooks or Rasmussen or Prokachik. That was just Juven Sunder-Amurthy too deep into the braking zone.
Yeah, and it's difficult sometimes for these drivers, inexperienced drivers. You get onto the paint, and there is so much of it on the airport runway. It is a very different consistency, of course, than the asphalt, and it gets very slippery. Sometimes you'll start to get on the brakes, and you will just slide, and there is nothing you can do. You're almost a passenger at that point.
Yeah. We're going to have another look at this this replay sooner or later here, but again, obviously a tough start. So here it is here again, the replay. You can see drivers defending down low to the bottom of the racetrack. A couple guys going out wide, and Sunder-Amurthy just gets into the back of Christian Brooks, who's braking to make sure he doesn't get into Christian Rasmussen, who then gets collected by Sunder-Amurthy. Christian goes all the way to the outside of the racetrack. Everybody else making complete evasive maneuvers. Wyatt Prokachik from the middle of the racetrack, Todd, just kind of trying to get the thing woed up and turned at the same time, and that's what brought him around.
And that's what happens when drivers around you start to see that there is action underneath. It's then everybody has to take evasive action, and often that causes the domino effect where you get two others that weren't involved in the initial contact and incident, and a second one results.
Yeah, a driver will make an evasive maneuver to get out of the way into the path of another driver. Then you start getting that collateral damage, those extra incidents involved. So the service vehicle's getting in here from Steps Towing to get the damaged car of Juven Sunder-Amurthy, who ended up climbing over the back of Christian Brooks. So Christian, of course, out of that one. Tough one for Christian Rasmussen as well, obviously losing the rear wing. We're going to sell at least 3 or 4 rear wings, I think, on this race.
And how about that? He had clinched the championship coming into this weekend, into the final doubleheader of the weekend, hoping to carry through the season with some good momentum and some good results. He started off the season very strong, winning 6 straight races, and then had the dip in performance in the middle, started to bring back his performance, and then it seems as though it's going to be another, maybe at least a little bit of a valley to start the weekend. Yeah. You don't even make it through corner number 1.
Yeah, that's a pretty deep valley, no doubt about that. That's a drop-off for Christian Rasmussen, and of course, it's always the worst when you know that you weren't involved. You're just the collateral damage of an incident that happened. Obviously, Sunder-Amurthy up over the top of the right side of the car of Christian Brooks, sailed over him and essentially did the nosedive into the rear wing and the right rear of Rasmussen. So here's the way we shake things down after we get rolling again. Shields, of course, getting out front. Hey, this is the reason why you want to be on the pole position.
Sure is.
At a street race, right? Let's let the chaos happen behind you. Sometimes it's the guy diving inside and you end up getting collected, but on this particular occasion, Shields was able to get through cleanly. Kiko Porto into second, Eduardo Barrichello third, Reese Gold fourth, Josh Green up into the 5th spot, Simon Sykes all the way up into the 6th position, started outside the top 10. Michael D'Orlando in 7th. Bajoy Garg moves all the way up into the 8th spot. He started back in 20th. He finds himself at 8th. Joel Miller in 9th and Matt Round-Garrido in 10th.
What a start. The safety crew continues to work. The AMR safety team continues to work in corner number 1. Now, you saw them putting that tarp almost underneath that car so as not to have too many fluids down on the track. They'll also sprinkle the kitty litter out. We saw this in the GT3 Cup race as well.
That's the machine of that's the machine of Rasmussen, and there's a cutoff right here outside of turn 1, so they'll take these cars right back to the paddock. But you're right, talk about the diaper underneath the car.
That's right. So there's no further liquids that are left out onto the track. The crew's working to get some absorbent material and do the sweep up to make sure that even though that is well off the racing line, you want that liquid dried up and removed as much as you possibly can. A great job by the team to get those cars out of there so quickly, having that easy access back to the paddock area. This should be a fairly quick cleanup. They'll get at least one more, I suspect, lap under yellow, but we should be back rolling pretty quickly.
Absolute best in the business. The AMR IndyCar safety team. It's one of the things that is involved with the Road to Indy, which we call a massive positive. You come to run and race on the Road to Indy. Obviously, all the scholarship to work your way up the ranks to try to get to the NTT IndyCar Series, but that level of safety we have with having the IndyCar safety team with us at all the racetracks, and they know our cars, and you watch the reaction time of these guys when an incident happens. It's absolutely amazing. We had an incident in Toronto. You probably remember this a number of years ago, where a driver got upside down. It was Harrison Scott was upside down at the end of the straightaway, and before he had done sliding, a guy was already running towards the car from the IndyCar safety team. I'll never forget that image of him already running, and Harrison said when he was upside down, he couldn't believe that he was almost not even stopped. He saw feet underneath the cockpit. So great to have them along with us, and of course, getting this track cleared up quickly, we'll be able to go back to green flag racing. 20 laps. With a time window of 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I believe, the time window.
And that's what sometimes gets the drivers as well, understanding that this is only a 20-lap sprint race in a sense. There is a time limit as well. You understand that your opportunities to make passes are limited, and also the best time is when you're in a double file start to the race, and it's an opportunity to gain positions, especially heading down into corner number one. You can say that there are multiple lines going through corner number one, but you do have to very quickly, by the time you finish the exit to corner number one, be in line for corners 2 and 3.
And that's a line. So if a driver understands how many lines there are into one, in the inside line, you're braking earlier than the outside line. That's what we didn't have there. We're going to get right back at it up here, folks. In fact, green flag flying at start-finish, right back to racing here in the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Cameron Shields going to grab a quick lead in front of his teammate Kiko Porto. Everyone else sliding into position. A good battle further back between Michael D'Orlando, Simon Sykes, and Bejoy Garg. Again, they'll work their way cleanly this time through turn number one. Single file restart made things a lot easier. A little bit of tight running coming through turn number two. Over to turn three here. They have to work their way back to the inside of the racetrack coming out of that corner because there's a bit of a bump in the middle. Setting themselves back up again here to that right-hander, the right-left complex. And Cameron Shields, the young Aussie, trying to see if he can follow in the footsteps of Will Power. Just got his 9th career pole here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. And from the same hometown, Toowoomba, Australia, there was actually, Will went on Instagram last night and had the Instagram story going, and Cameron was on the tugger with him, driving around for the track walk, having a look at the racetrack. So he'll try to see if he can't win another one here. He scored a victory last year on the Oval at Lucas Oil Raceway in the Freedom 75, and Cameron Shields would love to notch a win here. And you know what he wants? He wants just to go green to checker to the end here. Not so much green to checker, let's say restart to checker. He doesn't want any other yellow flags. He wants to just pull away.
First 4 cars starting to break away just a little bit from Josh Green, who is in the number 2 machine. It looks like Cameron Shields, Kiko Porto, Eduardo Barrichello, and Reese Gold starting to put a little bit of a gap. There's about 0.7 of a second from 4th back to 5th place in this field.
Jack William Miller able to make a move to the inside of Simon Sykes at the end of the straightaway as the drivers come up here again to turn number 4. Working their way through, and you can see how tight that front-running quartet is. And then you put Josh Green and Michael D'Orlando as 3 of the Cape drivers running 4th, 5th, and 6th. Gold, Green, and D'Orlando. And let's not remember the race within the race as well, and that's for 2nd place in the points. Eduardo Barrichello and Reese Gold battling it out as they run on the racetrack, separated by just 1 point. So fast lap of the race is also a 1 bonus point. Cameron Shields is going to try to get the most laps. That's a bonus point as well. He'll take that for himself if he can, but Kiko Porto's put a lot of pressure on him.
You mentioned the big leap that Bejoy Garg made at the start as well, all the way up into 8th place. He's lost, he did lose a spot back to 9th, but this is going to be a real learning experience for that rookie in this series as well, to be thrust forward from the back of the field up with the fast runners. You're going to learn a lot very quickly.
He's run a partial series with the program here in 2020. We hope to see Bejoy in the entire program next year. Cameron Shields laying down fast lap of the race, pulling out to a 0.7 of a second advantage. Interesting battle as well going on for that 2nd spot. Kiko Porto versus Eduardo Barrichello, both from Brazil, and they're best friends. So let's hope we don't have a fight between best friends at the end of this one. And Barrichello may give Kiko just a little more room. You never know. Further back, some really good racing for 5th, 6th, and 7th. It looks like Michael D'Orlando trying to find a way by his teammate Josh Green. Both those drivers out of New York State. A couple of wins this year for Michael D'Orlando, and has had a really good first full season of USF 2000 competition. trying to get the budget together. I'm not sure if he wants to come back here to USF next year. I think if he would, he'd be an instant challenger for the championship, finally getting that full year of experience in. Watching the drivers come now through that 11-12 complex. 11, 12, 13, 14. Such a great corner on this racetrack. Flat out coming through here, just flicking the steering wheel a little bit just to get the car to take a set every time you're coming through. Back onto the hard binders of turn 13 and through 14 and back out onto the front straightaway. Cameron Shields, Todd, stretching that lead, resets fast lap of the race. And then Josh Green does the same thing, getting pushed hard by his teammate further back.
That's exactly what Cameron Shields wants to do. Just now that we've settled in, everybody has strung out a little bit single file. Still very close in terms of competition, but now that everyone is strung out single file, he just wants to keep his head focused forward, hit those braking markers, make those smooth corners, and keep extending that lead as much as he can.
And you know what? There's some gaps up here, 1.1, 1.4, but then we see Matt Round-Garrido's 1.2 seconds back. Then it's 7/10 back to Bajoy-Garg. Then it's 3, 4, 2, 5. It's literally maybe 3, 4, 5/10 of a second for the rest of the field. That's why they're having such great races further back. Drivers working their way through turn 8 and turn number 9. 9 here, the DHL corner. Very important to get that power rolled back on because that leads onto the long straight all the way down through the kink to turn number 10. You can see 10, very tough corner because you got to get the car rotated because really the exit point is pointing right at the wall. You got to get the car rotated so you're back on power and not letting that car shuffle out into the wall. That's Jack William Miller there running in the 7th spot, then 8th and 9th, which is Simon Sykes for Legacy Autosport and Matt Round-Garrido for Pabst Racing. 9
laps already completed here. It remains Cameron Shields out in front. Kiko Porto, the 2 front row starters, had all of the traffic behind them yet got piled up. They had clear racetrack ahead of them and got away, although we quickly went to the full course caution. Eduardo Barrichello, Reese Gold, and Josh Green rounding out the top 5. Nearly a full second lead now for Cameron Shields on Kiko Porto.
Joining us late here on the Road to Indy TV app or USF2000.com, an opening lap incident when Yuvan Suner-Murthy, too deep into the braking zone, flew over the back of Christian Brooks' number 44 into the side of Christian Rasmussen's number 6. All 3 of those drivers out of the race, which leaves us 11 drivers on the racetrack. Coming up to the halfway point of what will be a 20 lap event. 45 minutes in total, the time window. Indy Pro 2000 drivers set to go. We had set times for these races, but we had a little bit of a mix-up. There was a lot going on in that IndyCar qualifying session. And most definitely watching guys in and out and in and out. And
there may have been a record for the number of penalties that were given and some rescinded through that qualifying session. However, it's not surprising to see Will Power up front at the end of it.
Well, the fact that he put back-to-back laps that were pole position times, and he actually almost touched the wall in that final lap as well. Will Power is an absolutely amazing driver. I'd love to see what he's able to do here at St. Petersburg. Hey, and we got another Aussie from Toowoomba trying to follow in his footsteps, Cameron Shields, for D-Force Racing, a 1.1 second lead over his teammate Kiko Porto. So D-Force running first and second. Pabst Racing with Barrichello in third. Gold, Green, and D. Orlando, all Cape drivers in the 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. And Cape Motorsports at New Jersey Motorsports Park already clinching the team championship this year for the Cooper Tires USF 2000 program. They've done that many times before, but a strong year this year with all 4 of their drivers. Really, only one of them with a full season under his belt, and that was Reese Gold.
Some impressive lap times being put up as well by those front runners. Cameron Shields with a 1:12.68 the last time by. That is only slightly off his qualifying lap from yesterday to sit him on the pole for this race. These are fast times that these drivers are putting in.
So let's check off why that's probably happening. Number 1, Cooper Tires last a long time. You can get good lap times throughout the session, which is great. Number 2, all that IndyCar rubber is now down on the track, so we got more grip. Trouble for Cameron Shields. Cameron Shields is slow to the front straightaway. That sounds like an engine problem. Cameron Shields slowing on the front straightaway. Heard the engine bobble. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. For Shields as the leader, D-Force Racing lost one already. This is reminding me of Mid-Ohio when Parker Thompson was leading. The engine blew up, and that gave Manuel Suleiman, his teammate, the lead. This time, Cameron Shields slowing on the front straightaway. His teammate, Kiko Porto, goes by. Still D-Force as the lead. But it looks like Kiko Porto the lead now. We'll see them when they come back around, but you could see something happen on the front straightaway to Cameron Shields.
That was strange, just to see him going down the front straightaway and to surrender the lead so reluctantly. Everyone just went by him.
Yeah, it did not sound good at all for Cameron Shields in that number 10. We'll try to get a reboot when we come back around. But indeed, there's first and second, the two Brazilians, and that will now be Kiko Porto and Eduardo Barrichello, first and second. The two childhood friends from Brazil running 1-2 here in St. Petersburg. Reese Gold by himself now in the third spot. Fourth is going to be Josh Green. Fifth now, Michael D'Orlando. And man, heartbreak for Cameron Shields. I cannot believe it. Let's find out if he's actually following all the way to the tail. I'm trying to pick him up on the racetrack. No, Cameron Shields coming down pit lane right now. Oh, that is gutting.
This is frustration.
Yeah.
Just to reach the halfway point, to survive the massive crash on the opening lap that happens behind you, and you can hear that engine as he's coming down pit lane. That does not sound like a happy USF 2000 car.
He'll come to the stop in front of his D-Force Racing team, and they will, of course, take the rear engine cowl off and have a look inside to see what potentially the issue is. Logan Knapp from Elite Engines there as well. They'll plug it into the electronics and get a really good understanding of what happened to the power plant. But the bottom line is this. He was leading and pulled away to a 1.2-second lead, and Cameron Shields, who's been looking for that big victory, another opportunity to really prove the talent that this young Australian has, going by the wayside. He'll start nearer the front as well tomorrow, so he's going to have a chance to potentially come back. But, man, it's just one of the things you hate to see here when anything like that happens. And, again, literally, if you're the team owners at D-Force Racing, this is like deja vu, because it's exactly what happened at Mid-Ohio. Parker Thompson, the Indy Pro 2000, Todd, had this race handled. He had 5 or 6, 7, maybe 8 car lengths on his teammate Manuel Suleiman. It's just, I'm going to cruise to the end. Blows up the motor coming down to 1. Suleiman goes around the outside. He ends up getting the victory. But this one, far from over. This is not going to be just Kiko Porto. This is not going to be a walkaway like Suleiman. This is going to be a battle between Kiko Porto and Eduardo Barrichello with 7 to go.
Eduardo Barrichello just 0.3 of a second behind Kiko Porto. Reese Gold third, Josh Green in fourth, and Michael D'Orlando has moved up into the 5th spot now. And there again, close battles as well between 4th and 5th, with Josh Green just 0.4 of a second. I'm interested to see how Eduardo Barrichello stalks his friend in front of him, just to see how aggressive he's going to get.
Well, this is it. 7 laps down, right? We've got time. The whole idea is keep putting the pressure on, see if you can push Kiko into that little mistake. Will he overcook it? Maybe go under the brakes in turn number 15, or 14. Does he go too deep into 1? There's lots of places on this racetrack where you just lose your confidence for a second. Another driver coming down pit lane. I think there's damage to that thing's crabbing down the straightaway, so damage to another driver. Left rear damage. That might be the 24 of Michael Myers. And indeed, Michael will bring that car to the attention of his Legacy Autosport crew. As he rolls into the stop here, I want to say it's left rear, but that'll be it for Michael Myers as well. So we're down to 16 drivers, a bit of attrition here in USF 2000, but 6 laps still to go. Indy Pro 2000 drivers are rolling their cars down the back road here in the paddock area, just on the other side of the straightaway. Indy Pro getting ready to go for their main event, the first of 2, a part of the doubleheader weekend for the road to Indy. They'll be on track again tomorrow morning. USF 2000 on track before the NTT IndyCar Series warm-up session. Then we'll roll out Indy Pro at 11:30 for their second race, and then the Porsche GT Cup drivers will roll out before the NTT IndyCar Series go.
It remains Kiko Porto out front. Front row starter inherits the lead when Cameron Shields has the engine issue. Still along pit road. This team's still having a look. I guess they're trying to determine as best they can where that problem is, how serious that problem is. Already the dissection has started, because they'll have to turn around and make repairs, because they are out first thing tomorrow morning. They're one of the last cars on track today, and then they're the first race tomorrow morning.
Interesting here, Reese Gold just turned fast lap of the race, a 1:12.371. That is 0.4 quicker than Kiko Porto. We're going to have a 3-driver battle here, I think, for this race win.
That is quicker than qualifying laps from yesterday. So Reese Gold, who has already signed to move up to the USF, or to the Indy Pro Series next season with Juncos Racing, is making a bit of an impression in this race.
I like that car starting to come in here late in the race. 5 laps remaining, and Gold closing up. The key for Gold is to get there to the point when Barrichello decides he's got to make his move. You want to be able to capitalize on anything that may happen, and Kiko Porto trying to hold on to the lead. The Brazilian for D-Force Racing, trying to get that first elusive win, has not yet won. Barrichello's been victorious. Reese Gold has D'Orlando's already tasted victory. Of course, Christian Rasmussen, so many wins throughout the season as well. Will Kiko Porto be the next driver to stand on top of the podium in USF 2000? Only 2 more races left in the season. This one and one more will cap off 2020. Reese Gold got another 2/10, but he's still 1.3 back and time winding out.
And that's going to be the part is that might work against him with only 5 laps to go. Is there going to be enough time to make this a 3-car battle up front? He's got himself a podium position right now. It's how many steps is he going to be able to climb in the remaining laps. So Josh Green 4th, Michael D'Orlando 5th, Jack William Miller in 6th, and Simon Sykes, who you mentioned earlier, had a nice jump up and is currently running 7th right now.
Tremendous run for Simon Sykes in Legacy Autosport in the Metashare machine. Great seeing him run up there in 7th. Actually a winner at the SCCA runoffs, I believe, in the Formula F category. Ran in the Formula Continental class as well. He's also leading the F1600 Championship Series. Will likely bring that championship home. It's been a great season so far for Simon Sykes, and we really hope to see him next year full-time here in USF 2000. But again, laps winding down. Gold needs to get close enough because you got to believe that Kiko Porto will at least make that one block move down into turn number 1 if Eduardo Barrichello is close enough on the final circuit. If he's not, then he's going to be able to run the open lap. But look at Barrichello. Here's the shot from turn number 1. Barrichello probably 6 car lengths back still as they work their way down here into turn 1. Not close enough to make Porto think about the defense.
No, and Reese Gold is still 9/10 of a second behind Eduardo Barrichello as well. He did cut into that lead just a little bit from 2nd to 3rd place, but again, with 4 laps to go, he may run out of time, although he is quicker.
Matt Roungarito really putting the pressure on Simon Sykes for that 7th position. They're about 5.5 seconds behind the battle with Jack William Miller trying to close up on D'Orlando. But again, nobody behind them. Bashoy Guard quite a ways back. So really it is just a 2-driver battle there for 7th between Sykes and Roungarito. There's that Miller battle with D'Orlando and Green. That is 4th, 5th, and 6th all running together. It's 4th, 5th, 6th coming through the kink. Through turn number 10. There it is there. That's through turn 10. And that right there is 4th, 5th, and 6th. And they're on top of each other. So 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and 4th, 5th, and 6th all together. Reese Gold definitely closing onto the front straightaway here. They're working through that hairpin. Now Barrichello just not close enough to be able to put the pressure here on Kiko Porto.
No, in fact, that gap has increased just ever so slightly from 1st to 2nd. Eduardo Barrichello now better than a half a second behind. And Reese Gold, though, has closed ever so slightly on Eduardo Barrichello, but not really that much.
I think Reese Gold has the fast lap of the race as well, because as they run on the racetrack, they are tied for points for 2nd. And I'll have to look at the wins. I think they both won 2 races as well. This is going to be unbelievably tight when it comes to the championship. They are running. It's going to be who wins tomorrow, unless, of course, you got that fast lap bonus as well. So it's we'll see how it all plays out. But right now, Barrichello and Gold tied with 317 points. They've got the car of Cameron Shields rolling again. I think wanting to get him back out on the racetrack to make sure everything's going to be good for tomorrow.
Makes sense, and that's why the team was paying such close attention. Make sure, see if they can make whatever the issue is, resolve it. And then if you can get back out, you use the final couple of laps as a bit of a test session, because you won't be back on the track until tomorrow morning, and that will be under race conditions. 3 to go here, and then the USF 2000 Series first on track tomorrow morning. They will take the green flag at 9:30 a.m. for another race.
Leader back across the line again. You'll see them coming down here into turn number 1, and Barrichello always closing near the tail of the field, or tail of the front straightaway. He is just a length back coming through turn number 1 through that 2-3 kink. That right there is 4th, 5th, and 6th. Josh Green, Michael D'Orlando, and Jack William Miller. Leaders locked together. Look at how close Reese Gold has got over the last couple of laps. They'll see the white flag next time by. And Reese Gold thinking about trying to get 2nd in the championship. He's got to get by Barrichello to take a hold of the spot outright. Kiko is counting on that battle behind. He needs Reese to fight with Barrichello, so he's not looking at him. Through turn number 10. All 3 drivers pushed. I think Barrichello the most. He got the closest to the wall coming out of 10. Here comes 4th, 5th, and 6th again. Barrichello's going to have potentially one shot. He's got to get out of here nicely. Get on that throttle. He's not close enough. Kiko Porto has been really good out of the slow stuff to get that power down. You can see how much of a gap he has down the straightaway here. Barrichello not close enough to make a move to the inside, and neither is Reese Gold. White flag flying, last lap here in USF 2000, the first of 2 races here this weekend. 9:30 tomorrow morning will cap off the 2020 season. Christian Brooks will start on the pole position to try to make amends for the DNF here in race 1. Porto 1 lap away from grabbing his first victory on the road to Indy and the second win. The third win it would be for D-Force Racing. 2 wins for Manuel Suleiman in Indy Pro 2000, but this would be D-Force Racing's first USF 2000 victory. Through the kink of turn number 9. They'll work their way up here to turn number 10 right now. Crucial corner, he can't make a mistake. And yeah, nice little gap for Kiko Porto. He was chasing down his teammate, Todd, for the start of this race until an issue happened with the power plant. For Cameron Shields, Kiko Porto inherited the lead, and as he comes out of the final corner here at St. Petersburg, chalk a victory up for the young Brazilian. D-Force Racing with a victory. Kiko Porto wins round 1 here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Eduardo Barrichello second, the Brazilian 1-2. Reese Gold in third. Josh Green fourth. Michael D'Orlando fifth. Sixth is Jack William Miller. Seventh is going to be Matt Round-Garrido. Simon Sykes ends up in the 8th spot. 9th is Kyle Dupel, so all 4 of the Cape cars finishing in the top 10. And Bejoy Garn coming ahead of his teammate. No, Christian Bogle, pardon me. Bogle able to slip by to get into the top 10. Christian Bogle finishes 10th, Garg 11th. Prescott Campbell in 12th spot. Joe Molina in 13th. Nolan Siegel 14th. Josh Pearson 15th. And Wyatt Prokacek, the last driver on the lead lap after we had the attrition, losing Michael Myers, Cameron Shields, Rasmussen, Brooks, and Sundar Amur. The impressive run, though, Todd, for Kiko Porto. A big victory for him, almost a half a second the margin.
Nice win. You could see the enthusiasm as he was fist pumping as he came across the start-finish line and took the checkered flag. Rob Howden thinks he's going to dash down to do the victory podium for the USF 2000 series. He will be there to greet Kiko Porto, Eduardo Barrichello, and Reese Gold, the top 3 finishers on the podium.
Really difficult race. I'm stay most part of the race on second. After that camera, I don't think what happened with he. I passed he, and this start to be very, very difficult because the duo are very fast too. So I'm worked very hard. We did the same lap time during a lot of laps, but I'm very happy to win here. We have a difficult thing too is the tire, because here in the street course the tires go on faster. But yeah, I'm very happy with this and want to say thank you for my family, thank you for my sponsorship, and thank you for the team for the hard work all the season.